Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 4 of the American Sim Racing Club Super Late Model Touring Series. We are here today at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, where we are going to see, I believe, possibly only one heat race here today. We'll have to wait and see until we have an official lineup of our drivers here tonight. But either way, we are going to see a 75-lap feature here tonight at Nashville. Anyhow, my name is Mason Highball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight, 1080p, 60 frames a second. Folks, I hope you all are ready and excited for the action here tonight with American Sim Racing Club as we begin our qualifying here tonight. Couple drivers making their way out on track. We just saw Brett Hahn, who unfortunately made a little bit of a mishap there out of turn 4, finding himself spinning it out sideways there down the front straight. But we are tuning along here with John Kane, the number 29 machine, and seeing what he's going to possibly do here for his qualifying time. Let's see what the 29 machine has got in store for today. And another interesting note that I would like to bring out here for the start of today's race is the fact that right now there is an interesting battle happening right now for the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Brett Hahn currently holds the lead at this point in time, but Ron Hart, Jackson Lewis, both tying for second place. Both have an opportunity to be able to put themselves even further up the Drivers' Championship. So, we'll just have to wait and see exactly how that unfolds here. But as we continue on with our qualifying runs here, we're taking a look at Justin Callahan in the 75 at this point in time. And we've seen drivers the same exact spot coming out of turn 4. It's just a very, very slick spot in the track, and it's very easy to find yourself just sliding coming out of turn 4 down the front straightaway. But looking right now, the number 7 machine of Jackson Lewis qualifies at the very tippy top of the field with a 17.95 as his best time. And folks, before we went live here in the broadcast, I was in the booth, or well, rather in the driver's chat during the practice, kind of listening in, kind of having a different perspective on how tonight's race might go. And from what I understand, the 17s is a time that is sought after very dearly at this track, even if it is only just barely into that 17-second margin. As Andrew Payne, that you can see there at the very tippy top of our timing tower, qualifying just with the same as Jackson Lewis, a 17.95. So that's going to put the 93 as well as the number 7 at the very tippy top of our starting grid here. And that is going to wrap up our qualifying very quickly. And it's going to bring out our first heat race here today. So starting off, it's going to be Tommy Haynes in the number 1 machine with Austin Nielsen in the number 2. In first and second, Nathan Henry starting off in third, Charles Darling in fourth, Matthew Catania in fifth, David Payton in sixth, Nick Fleury in seventh, Ron Hart in eighth, Jackson Lewis in ninth, Andrew Payne in 10th, John Senu in 11th, Billy Thomas in 12th, and it looks like we are going to have only one heat race for tonight, as Hayden Swank is going to be 13th, Justin Callahan 14th, John Kane 15th, John DeMeester 16th, Tanner Talarico, the league owner, currently showing in 17th, but he is not going to actually be racing in this one. Brett Hahn going to be rounding out the field here in 18th here for this first heat race, which is pretty interesting, I have to say. Brett Hahn, a very strong performer in this series as well in the Drivers' Championship. If I'm not mistaken, Brett Hahn does not have to start at the tail end of the field for this race, but Ron Hart will have to start at the tail end based on his performance for the last race at the Bull Ring, with Ron Hart finishing first. for that race. But as we await our pace car to make its way out of, or pace truck rather, out of the pit road here and begin to make its way around the field for the very first time. I'm not exactly certain what the holdup is there, but race control and everything else obviously has to go accordingly and timely. But here we go. Pace truck is away. We are around Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway for the very first time here. And taking a look back, we already mentioned it the first time, Ron Hart coming away with the win last week is also going to be in contention for the Drivers' Championship, as if he comes away on top of wherever Brett Hahn stands at the end of the race here tonight, he might possibly find himself at the very tippy top, but we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, there's a lot of racing left here to do. We still have to get into this heat race, which we haven't even started yet, as the pace truck makes its way across the checkered line. It's going to bring the lights off, and the next time we come around, it's going to bring the green flag out. Tommy Haynes, Austin Nielsen, both going to be in the front row. Nathan Henry, Charles Darling in your second row. David Payton, Matthew Catania in your third row. Coming down the back straight, heading our way into turn 3. Getting ourselves ready to go for the action here today. Tommy Haynes, the 17 machine, is looking mighty ready to get this heat race going. It's only going to be... Okay, all right. I was mistaken. So we are going to have another one final formation lap, I would have to imagine, and it is going to be 8 laps in total for this heat race today. There it is. The pace truck is down into the pits. Making our way out of turn 4. The green flag is out, and here we go. Tommy Haynes with the jump that he needs. 8 laps to go, folks. Austin Nielsen, the 52 machine, coming out of turn 2. He's right on the bumper of the 17. And Tommy Haynes dropping down onto the inside, heading into turn 3. Not quite the speed that Nielsen needs to be able to make this pass this time around, but we got the 18, the 318, excuse me, of Matthew Catania getting a little bit loose here. Getting it back together, making his way out of turn 2 now, down the back straight. Matthew Catania falling in 8th place right now. He's right behind Nathan Henry in the 59 machine. Coming out of turn 4, we're down the front straight here once again. Trying to keep an eye on all of our field here as much as we possibly can. Tommy Haynes, Austin Nielsen, first and second. Nielsen trying to find some room down the inside as he makes his way out of turn 4. Might be able to make it work this time around. Going into turn 1, he's right on the door of the 17 of Tommy Haynes. Going down the back straight, they're still duking it out. Nielsen falling back there just a little bit. Andrew Payne, meanwhile, in 3rd place in the 93 machine. We got a little bit of 3 wide action as we make our way out of turn 4. Jackson Lewis, David Payton duking it out door to door here as we make our way out of turn 2. It's 4 laps left to go in this heat race. You can see Charles Darling, the 88 machine, just up there in 4th place as we cross the checkered line. It's 3 laps. Right now, this action is just brewing up, and folks, this is just a preview of what we are going to see in the feature. Coming across the line, it's 2 laps left to go. Once we make it across the line the next time around, the white flag will be out. These drivers are giving it all they can. Look at Andrew Payne, the 93 machine, looking to put himself up on the front row, but we got action back here towards the back of the field. The caution is out just before the white flag flies. The 59 of Nathan Henry involved, as well as the 75 of Justin Callahan also involved in the mix there. Here's the replay as we make our way down the back straight, heading into turn 3. Little bit of a bump there from the 318 of Matthew Catania, sending the 59 of Nathan Henry sideways. A little contact there from Justin Callahan. That's going to send him sideways down the front straight. What an unfortunate way to bring out the caution here with only 2 laps. Well, 3 now. Well, actually, it will be 2 laps left to go once we bring out the green flag once again. But honestly, folks, that was such a tragic way to bring out the caution literally right as the white flag was being thrown. That is tragic. But you could see it on your screens as the incident started. It only seemed to get worse. So, definitely necessary on the part of race control, as by the time the leaders stacked back up at that point, coming out of turn 4, I almost kind of would doubt that the field would be entirely clear at that point. Definitely would have to throw that caution out, make sure that the track is entirely clear and that drivers have a safe track to drive on. But we are back to green flag here. It's 2 laps to go as we cross the checkered line. Tommy Haynes, Andrew Payne, Austin Nielsen, all going to be stacked up here. 1, 2, 3. Look at the 93 of Andrew Payne, just absolutely on a mission here. Austin Nielsen thinking the same thing here. Let's ride on board here with Austin Nielsen, just getting an idea as the final lap is here. The white flag flies. We're riding on board with Austin Nielsen, the number 52 machine. It looks like we got a little bit. Nope, never mind. That is just me just behind on the SDK. But anyway, the checkered flag flies. Andrew Payne, Tommy Haynes, gonna be side by side. They collide as they cross the line. And Tommy Haynes is still gonna bring home first place for the heat race here today. Andrew Payne in second with Austin Nielsen in third. Jackson Lewis in fourth. Charles Darling in fifth to round out your top 5. What an incredible way to end this heat race here today, folks. And frankly, if you're not excited for the start of this feature here tonight, I really don't know how else to really make it more exciting for that matter. I mean, these drivers are absolutely giving it everything that they possibly have here. As we're going to have a short warm-up for our drivers, get themselves ready for the start of today's race here. And folks, I got to say, I am absolutely thrilled to be here for today's race. And I hope that everyone watching back at home is also excited to be here and ready for the action here tonight. But right now, as again, we're going to have a few drivers making their way out on track, getting a little warm-up in here. Let's talk a little bit about last week's race. So, last time, well, not last week's, it was actually 2 weeks ago at the Bull Ring in Las Vegas. So, little detail about that. Ron Hart coming home with the win for that race. We talked a little bit about that during the beginning of the broadcast. Second place was Andrew Payne, the number 93 machine, who qualified second here tonight in that heat race. Charles Darling, the number 88 machine. I'm not exactly certain where he qualified at in that heat race, but either way, coming home with third for the Bull Ring race. And interestingly, Ron Hart led 27 laps of that race at the Bull Ring out of 75 laps. So really just goes to show, I mean, you don't have to be out in the front the entire time to be able to come home with a win at any race. It really can be luck, it can just be pure circumstance. A whole lot of things can be played into that factor, but it's still very interesting to see just, well, how things kind of shape up throughout a race. Andrew Payne, coincidentally, in that race also led 29 laps for that race. So it doesn't exactly mean that you have to lead the most laps to come out in front. I mean, Andrew Payne here did a phenomenal job at the bull ring and ultimately was able to bring it home on the podium in second place here. So the 93 machine, Andrew Payne, looking quite phenomenal in this series here. Also, this, folks, I can't, okay, hold on a second. So right now, it looks like there is a wow, okay. Brett Hahn currently holds the lead for the championship, but get this. Ron Hart, Jackson Lewis hold the tie for second place. All right, now moving on, Matthew Catania, Nick Fleury, Andrew Payne are all tied for fourth place. Okay, now moving on to the next position, and this will be the last one that we talk about because it just goes on from there. Charles Darling and Austin Nielsen are currently tied for seventh place. Now, in this series, from what I'm understanding, the championship is not decided based on points. It's decided based on how well you do in the series. So if you perform very well, if you get a lot of wins, if you get a lot of top fives, top tens, frankly, folks, you don't have to win a series by winning every single race. You can win a series just by being in the top 10 every single race. If you can focus on that, you can perform very well in a series. Granted, you might not get a lot of TV time, you might not, be mentioned a lot, but the fact that you can come across the line in 10th place every single race, that consistency is what's important, and that is what will get you mentioned and what will get you noticed in your league, amongst your peers, amongst your broadcasters, whatever the case may be. So, needless to say, there are a lot of folks here that are very capable of finishing in that top 10, in that top 5, coming across the line with the win. And another thing to note here, we have not had a duplicate winner for this series yet. There has not been a driver that has won more than once yet for this season. So, just a little bit of interesting information here, but that is going to bring out the checkered flag for our warm-up here today. And we are going to get ready to go into our feature race. And folks, I am excited. There's just no other way to really describe it other than just pure excitement. But here it is, our starting grid for the feature race. Tommy Haynes, the 17 machine, reigning from the Virginias, starting off in first place. Andrew Payne, the 93 machine with Downforce Sim Racing, going to be in second place. Rounding out your first row, Austin Nielsen, the 52, in third. Jackson Lewis, the 7 machine, in fourth place, rounding out your second row. Charles Darling, the 88 machine, starting in fifth. David Payton, the 38, in sixth place, rounding out your third row. Brett Hahn in seventh. Nick Fleury in eighth. Hayden Swank in ninth. Billy Thomas in 10th. John Senu in 11th. John Kane going to be in 12th place here. As we go down the grid, it's Justin Callahan in 13th. Matthew Catania in 14th. John DeMeester in 15th. Nathan Henry in 16th. And Ron Hart, last week's winner at the bull ring, going to be starting at the very tail end of the race here today, as per the shotgun rule. So, folks, this is going to be a very, very exciting race. Every single time that we have come here to Nashville Fairgrounds for an ASRC race, regardless of whether it's the super late models or the Mountain Dew Modified Tour, the Modifieds rather, it doesn't really matter what the series is. Anyway, point being, every single time that we've come here, the race is, I have no words. It's just always a lot of uncertainty going into this race. I mean, this track, just looking at practice, looking at qualifying, looking at the heat race, it's slick out there. This track is going to be absolutely tough to get that grip down, be able to get those lines perfect, as close to perfect as you possibly can. I mean, there's really only so much that you can do as a driver to be able to keep these cars as straight and stable, but also fast. I mean, you're going to be fighting the wheel. You're going to be fighting these cars, trying to keep these things going as quickly as you possibly can. There's only 75 laps here in this feature, so drivers got to be conscious about tires. They got to be conscious about fuel. They really just got to be on their A game, especially at a track like Nashville. And when I say that they got to be conscious about fuel, I don't necessarily mean that too much, because from what I understand, they do start, I think it's 80% fuel, something along those lines, but they have more than enough fuel to work with for the entirety of the race here. But point being, tires are definitely the big one that they have to look out here. But we are about to go green flag here as the pace truck is going to make its way down into the pits, and there you see it down in pit road here. We're making our way out of turn 4 now, and the drivers on the loud pedal. The green flag is out. Tommy Haynes, Andrew Payne, side by side, door to door. Coming down the back straight, it's Andrew Payne. Holy wow. Andrew Payne, the 93 machine, coming down the back straight. He was able to get an incredible lead here from Jackson Lewis, the 17 machine. I don't know what Andrew Payne has got in the tank of that 93 machine, but he is on the move here. Trying to take a look at as much of our field here as we possibly can. I'm just astonished by the performance here of Andrew Payne, and there he goes, clicking off a 17.98 as his last time around. But interestingly enough, Jackson Lewis with a 17.90 with his last time around. So the 7 machine of Jackson Lewis definitely has the pace to be able to keep up with the leader here of Andrew Payne, but there's still plenty of action happening back here towards the midfield as we look at Nick Fleury, the 25 machine, sitting in 9th place currently, working his way into turn 3. Following behind David Payton at this moment, working our way into turn 1 now. You can see the nice solid line between it looks like 3rd position Tommy Haynes all the way back here to Nick Fleury, and I'm sure there's probably another driver or two behind them. And indeed, there is quite the string of drivers that we have here up in the lead. And right now, the action fairly settled, but between these two drivers, Ron Hart, Matthew Catania, not exactly as settled as it looks towards the front of the field as they bump doors. Coming across the line, heading into turn 1, they are still duking it out here. Ron Hart down on the inside in the 051, coming out of turn 2. Matthew Catania, the 318, able to edge out in front of the 051 just enough to put himself into 12th place here. As we cross the line, it's lap 8 of 75. Checking back in with our leaders here. Leader at this moment, and, could be leader, Jackson Lewis. Just look at Lewis here. I mean, he is just driving the wheels off of the 7 machine. Let's ride on board here with Jackson for just a moment here and just get an idea of what it's like from the roof camera of the number 7 machine of Jackson Lewis. Down the inside, out of turn 2, he's able to make the pass around Andrew Payne. That's going to put Jackson Lewis up into first place here. Once we cross the line, it's lap 12 of 75 here for round number 4 of the Super Late Model Touring Series here with American Sim Racing Club. Meanwhile, back here, oh man, John Senu, Ron Hart duking it out side by side there as they work their way into turn 1, out of turn 2, down the back straight. Ron Hart on the inside as they work their way into turn 3. John Senu on the outside here. Plenty of room between the two drivers this time around. A little bit of a wall scrape there for the 86 machine of Senu. Very, very clean battles between a lot of the drivers that we've seen here tonight. And given all of the circumstances that we've seen prior to the start of this feature, you would almost think that there might be something interesting to happen here in the early stages of this race, but drivers here in the American Sim Racing Club, well, they've got different plans in mind. They want to keep this race green and going for as long as they possibly can here. And 15 laps into the race here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, I gotta say, everyone's looking quite phenomenal down here on track at this point in time. As right now we're looking at Austin Nielsen, the 52 machine, currently sitting in fifth place. Working his way out of turn 2 now, down the back straight. Checking in with some of our other drivers down the field here. We're looking at Matthew Catania down on the inside of Billy Thomas in the 9 machine at this moment as they work their way out of turn 4. Coming across the checkered line, Matthew Catania with the advantage down on the inside. He might be able to make another pass here, up into 10th place. Catania with a very good run here in the early stages of this race. Pushing extremely well. He's now got to work his way up to Nick Fleury in the 25 machine, who's currently sitting about 3/4 of a second between himself. But right now, he is setting some extremely good pace here. But look at Ron Hart, the 051. He's looking to try and retake that position that he has so desperately worked for. So we're going to take a moment here to ride on the inside the helmet camera, the cockpit camera, rather. You can pick your term there. Working our way out of turn 4, though. Catania still on his outside. You can see the 318 machine just peeking out there as they work their way into turn 1 now. Great battles between these two drivers. Oh, is there a little bit of contact there? Indeed, there was. Catania getting a little bit sideways there for just a moment, but he's able to recover it. Ron Hart, Catania, both extremely fighting it out here for that 10th place position. Looking just in front of them, it's a three-way battle for 5th place. It looks like Austin Nielsen holding on to 5th place at this moment in that 52 machine. Charles Darling following behind in the 88. Currently sitting in 6th place. There they go. A 5-car length string of drivers working their way out of turn 2 now, down the back straight. Hayden Swank, Charles Darling, Nick Fleury, David Payton as well involved in this mix here. Lap 24 of 75, some extremely good racing that we've seen here so far. Let's ride on board with Nick Fleury in the 25 machine as he continues his chase here with David Payton in the 38 just in front of him in 8th place. Let's have a listen and just appreciate the sights and sounds here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Nick Fleury, a very, very impressive driver in this series. And John Senu, a little bit of a moment here in the 86 machine, down the front straight. Looks like right on the entry of turn 1 here, he's going to bring out the, well, it's going to bring out the caution, not necessarily him in particular. Well, actually, you know what, let's take a look at the replay before we decide that. Here we go out of turn 4. Oh, no! The 59 machine of Nathan Henry getting collected in that, as well as John Senu with a wall ride. Oh, man, down the front straight, John is getting his 2 wheels up onto the top wall there on the front straight, and that's going to bring out the caution here for the very first time. But with that in mind, folks, we are going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will have more of the American Sim Racing Club Super Late Model Touring Series. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and we will be right back for more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad. Welcome back, race fans, here to Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. As the lights go off on the pace truck, this will be the last time around before we go back to green flag racing here. After that little bit of an incident, that we saw with John Senu in the 86 machine. John currently still sitting in the pits here. Not exactly certain if the race team there of the 86 machine is going to decide to keep it behind the wall here tonight, but pace truck's down in the pits. The green flag is out, and we are back to green flag racing here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Austin Nielsen there, not exactly certain what happened to the 52 machine, but he's going to fall back significantly here on this restart, down to 14th position. That is not what we want to see here for the 52. Meanwhile, looking up front, you can see Nick Fleury duking it out here. Looks like with the 38 machine of David Payton that we're locked on with right now. Very, very great battles that we have setting up front. Let's take a look at the front of our field at this point in time. It's Jackson Lewis back up here in the front of the field with Andrew Payne in second, who we saw leading some laps here at the beginning of the race after an incredible start to his race here. The 93 machine just, I don't know how he did it, but coming out of turn 2 here, well, not here specifically that we're looking at, but he was just able to get an absolute launch on the rest of the field. But sitting back here in second place right now, he's also got Brett Hahn. Almost said Andrew Payne there again. Brett Hahn currently on his inside, coming out of turn 4 across the checkered line, the 71 machine. You know, I want to give you guys a little bit of a tidbit of information here. I planted a seed inside Brett Hahn's mind here before we went live. I gently reminded Brett Hahn that if Ron Hart, the 051 machine that we're looking at right now, if Ron Hart is able to finish anywhere ahead of Brett Hahn here tonight, Brett Hahn may no longer be the leader in the championship. And when I said that, he just told me, say it isn't so. And unfortunately, Brett, it is so, if I'm not mistaken. And right now, I think Brett Hahn is kind of considering that in the back of his mind, and he's thinking to himself, you know what? No, I'm a two-time champion, back-to-back. Maybe not in, well, as far as I know, maybe not in this series, but 2021, we saw Brett Hahn take home the championship for the Super Late Model Series that we covered for the very first time here on Team Goon Squad, as well as taking home the championship for the 2022 Mountain Dew Modified Tour. So the 71 machine definitely has an idea of what it takes to be a champion here in this series. However, Brett Hahn has some competition this time around, and I think Ron Hart might be the driver here to look out for. As right now we're looking at kind of this gaggle of cars as they're making their way across the checkered line. It's going to include Ron Hart, the contender for the championship at this time. And I also want to point out here that Jackson Lewis is also in contention for that championship lead here, as he's tied with Ron Hart. So really you could kind of consider it here if Jackson Lewis you know, I actually kind of didn't even consider that myself. I kind of put that on the back burner, I suppose, but Jackson Lewis here, if he's able to finish out in front of Brett Hahn, who currently sits just behind him in second place, well, that's going to have a very, very different change here on the championship. And I mean, it's only race number 4, so it's, you know, there's still a lot of races left to go. There's still a long season left to go, but early on in this season, I mean, this is kind of where things really matter. You know, you either get yourself out there a big enough gap to be able to secure yourself enough points to get, well, not again, this is not a points counted series. This is based purely on where you finish in each race. So, you know, if you have a couple good races, a few good races, you might be able to take an off week and sacrifice one race, you know. Oh man, but when it's this close, it's really hard to say, folks. I am woo! I'm sorry. I'm done rambling about the championship. I'm done rambling about all the things that could and couldn't happen here, but I'm absolutely excited for this race here as we continue to look on. Tommy Haynes just behind Andrew Payne in third place at this moment. Looking back just a little bit further, Matthew Catania sitting in 13th at this moment, following behind Austin Nielsen and Nathan Henry. Nathan Henry sitting in 11th at this point in time. It's lap 44 of 75. 45 actually as we cross the line here. And what a phenomenal, frankly, a really great race that we've had here, you know, given all of the uncertainty that I think we had at the beginning of the race, in qualifying, in practice, in the heat races, you know, just with drivers kind of slipping and sliding all around, you know, I think a lot of it was just drivers just really trying to push themselves, really trying to test the limits, seeing what they can actually do here. And, you know, once the green flag flies here for the feature, you know, you kind of take all those things into consideration, and you start to put yourself into a position where you're just like, okay, this is what I can do, and if I try and push any more than this, it's probably not going to end well. And I don't think any of these drivers here want to put themselves in that situation. As we cross the line, it's a lap 48 of 75 here, so just 2 more laps to go before we see that 25 to go here come across our screens here. got bumping action happening here between Tommy Haynes, Hayden Swank, and Andrew Payne. Andrew Payne currently holding on to that third place spot here. Let's ride on board here with, actually, let's go inside. Let's get a little bit of a different angle here. There we go. The roll bar camera of Hayden Swank here inside the 35 machine. Frankly, folks, I just love watching these drivers just rip it around the track. You know, I love watching all of the input, all of the, just everything that it involves to get around this track as quickly as these drivers make it. It's just phenomenal. And they make it look oh so easy. But there you see it on the top of your screens. It's 24 laps left to go. Jackson Lewis here, our race leader. An incredible performance from the number 7 machine here tonight. And if he's able to finish out on top of Brett Hahn here, he might, just might, come away with the lead in the championship. We'll have to wait and see until everything is official, until all the points and everything is calculated and everything is done on the end of race control and league officials. But at this point in time, everything's looking in the favor of Jackson Lewis, who frankly, man, has had quite the season here. Jackson Lewis has won a race. He's qualified. He's finished in the top 5, in the top 10. Well, really, you could consider them both the same twice, as well as Ron Hart. Brett Hahn won one race and finished in the top 5 3 times. So do the math there. If Jackson Lewis comes away with the win here tonight, based on performance, that number 7 machine is going to find himself at the top of the point standings here. And frankly, man, it's really interesting to see how this season is playing out for the American Sim Racing Club Super Late Model Touring Series. You know, we've got 3 drivers at the very tippy top of the point standings that have all won a single race and have qualified in the top 5 at least twice. And going down the list there, it only gets weirder. So very early on in this season, this has just been an absolutely incredible thing to witness here. And folks, I hope you all have enjoyed everything that we have covered here for the second running on the Team Goon Squad channel of the American Sim Racing Club Super Late Model Touring Series. And again, if you have, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, so you can catch all of the action that we have here, covering various leagues, various different types of cars and tracks, day after day. But 15 laps left to go here in today's race, and frankly, I mean, this is kind of interesting how this is playing out here. We're seeing right now Hayden Swank moving his way up into 4th place here, trying to trail his way up to the 93 of Andrew Payne at this point in time. You see Tommy Haynes down 4 spots from where he started at the beginning of this race. Tommy Haynes, the leader at the beginning of this race here, down into 5th place, out of the pole position for this race. But frankly, folks, when you start at the front of the field at the beginning of the race, it is probably the most difficult position to be in, because you have to fight to hold that position from lap 1 all the way until lap whatever, which in this case it's lap 75. That's 75 laps that you have to make it around the track in first and not let anyone pass you, not let anyone make any sort of strange moves on you. It's just phenomenal. Look at this, though. The action between Tommy Haynes, Hayden Swank. Tommy Haynes looking to get himself back up here into 4th place. He does it. Great action here from the 17 machine, Tommy Haynes, who we saw leading this race at the very, very beginning here, folks. So still action happening down here on track with 11 laps left to go, and the action is just now brewing up here. And frankly, you know, I gotta say, with how well this race has been going, I am really, really happy, enthralled with how it's been going. And hopefully for these drivers, they are gonna be feeling relatively the same here. Green flag racing at a track like Nashville's Fairgrounds is something that you don't really see too often, I feel. Or maybe I'm just not watching the right races. I don't necessarily know, but maybe I'm here for the right race today, as right now we've only had that single caution come out. And with 8 laps left to go, I really, you know, with how well these drivers are performing at this point in time, I hope they don't prove me wrong, but I really, really think that these guys are going to come across the checkered line without a caution coming out here with 7 laps left to go. And frankly, it's been phenomenal watching this field progress through this race. I mean, you know, we saw Tommy Haynes leading the race at the very beginning, falling back here into, wow, 3rd place now as he makes his way around Andrew Payne. Tommy Haynes here going to be looking to come across the line in a podium position here as he makes his way coming out of turn 4 here with just enough of a gap between himself and Andrew Payne. 5 laps left to go. Folks, battles are still happening, but right now, you know, the 2 positions that you really would want to have are 1st and 2nd. Well, that you would think, but between Tommy Haynes and Brett Hahn, it's nearly 4.5 seconds. But get this, between Jackson Lewis and Brett Hahn, it's nearly just under a second. Brett Hahn here is trying to track down the 7 of Jackson Lewis. But here is another interesting note. Jackson Lewis was able to qualify with just barely a better time than Brett Hahn for his, well, really for this race. He was able to come across the line the fastest when his tires were the best. But Brett Hahn here, you know, my point being, Brett is known to hunt in the last few laps, as it's 2 laps left to go here. The white flag is about to fly, and there it is. It's the final lap here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Let's see how this action unfolds. 3 wide as we make our way into turn 1 between Nick Fleury, the 051 of Ron Hart, and I believe that was Charles Darling up there for a moment. Oh man, let's see how this race is going to end. The checker flag is out. There you see Jackson Lewis coming across the line there for 1st, and Brett Hahn in 2nd. Tommy Haynes coming across the line in 3rd, with Andrew Payne in 4th. Hayden Swank in 5th. Let's actually bring up our official race results here. And there you see it on your screen, carrying off from where we left off. David Payton in 6th, Nick Fleury in 7th, Ron Hart in 8th, Charles Darling in 9th, Justin Callahan in 10th, Nathan Henry in 11th, Austin Nielsen in 12th, Matthew Catania in 13th, John Kane in 14th, Billy Thomas 15th, John DeMeester in 16th, John Senu in 17th, and that is going to round out our field here tonight. And folks, wow, what an absolutely incredible race that we had here, and frankly, I couldn't ask for a better one. I mean, this was just absolutely impressive to watch through and through. So as we get ready to get into our post-race interviews, let's see who our first driver up is. It's going to be Tommy Haynes, the number 17 machine, going to be in the booth here. Tommy, sir, do you have a read?
Yeah, I got you, buddy.
Tommy, Man, so let's see here. Where do I want to start? Your qualifying was amazing. Let's start there. Secondly, when you eventually, well, I don't want to say eventually, but the opening lap. Let's talk about the opening lap. Once we went green, were you expecting Andrew Payne to come across out of turn 2 and just jet it down the back straight like that, the way he did? I mean, that I really wasn't expecting that from Andrew, but I mean, it just seemed like there was nothing that you could have done in that situation right off the bat. I mean, what was it like just watching Andrew just jet away from you coming out that back straight like that on the first lap?
Yeah, first off, I wasn't expecting that. It was almost like he got shot out like a cannon. I was just trying to be conservative, not wreck your whole field going into one there. So, yeah, it was kind of, I had John Winbush spotting for me, and he was like, car on the outside coming. Like, I was like, ain't no way. I thought we'd just get the line and go, but you do what you got to do, man. I'm just happy to get away with third place finish. I had a fast car, and I wasn't thinking on the invert in the heat race. I think I qualified really 10th, and I got the invert to first. So, and hey, that's the first time I've run up front since I've been over here in the super late models, and this is fun. Yeah,
Tommy, these super late models here with the ASRC guys, it's always a great experience, great racing, and really a great group of drivers to be with. And for yourself, starting out in front, coming out of the heat race, what was your expectations here coming into Nashville? I mean, watching practice here a little bit before we went live, watching qualifying, watching the first heat race, and I mean, it looked like it might have been a little bit worse than it actually was, but we only had one caution here and just a really solid green flag run here. I mean, were you expecting that, or were you expecting something a little bit worse?
I was expecting to get I was trying to get at least the top. I wouldn't expect it to run third tonight, and I figured it might be a few more cautions, and I feel more better when I ain't got a bunch of people behind me. Like when we got out in that first little, before the caution come out, we had a gap in between to the back people, and then caution come up, then we all stack them back up. I was just worried about getting turned or me chopping somebody or wrecking. I was really just trying to stay out of harm's way and just conserve my tires there and see what happened at the end. I feel like I don't know if I could have got by Hayden and the other guy Andrew a little quicker. I had the long run speed, but we was just kind of held up and wasn't know where we could go. So.
Well, either way, you were able to bring that 17 machine across the line for third place here tonight, and really with an impressive run there towards the end. I mean, it almost seemed like you were kind of watching the broadcast and listening to myself saying how you started towards in first and you were sitting there in fifth and able to work your way up here to a podium. I mean, Tom, it was phenomenal.
It's all about, you got to just, it's rhythm here. That caution come out, it kind of screwed my rhythm up and took me a while to get going again, but I like them long runs where you can get in the rhythm and you could cut some laps down pretty good. So.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'll take third and get on out of here and we'll go to Bristol next week.
Absolutely. On to Bristol next week. You heard it here from Tommy Haynes. But Tom, before I let you go here tonight and crack one open and celebrate being on the podium here, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in your pit crew that you want to shout out, thank for your success here tonight?
I'd like to thank y'all for what y'all do. Y'all put on a good show. I'd like to thank Tanner and everybody in the league. I run the Xfinity Series on Monday night with them. Good group, bunch of guys. Good racing. Like to thank John Winbush. He was on top of the hill spotting for me tonight. And like to thank autosbynielsen.com, Barry Nelson, everybody up here in Bassett. Need a car, go online and check them out. You won't be disappointed and get you a good deal. Splash and Go Graphics for the paint. Can't forget him.
Absolutely. All right, Tom. Well, thank you for joining me here in the booth tonight, and congratulations on coming across the line here in the podium. I hope to see some similar success next week at Bristol.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk to you again. Thank you, bud.
Absolutely. See you next week.
All right.
Alrighty, folks, that was Tommy Haynes, the 17 machine, taking it home for third place here tonight. And up next, it's the 71 machine of Brett the Jet Hahn. who right now, frankly, I don't think Brett is going to be feeling too fantastic after this race, but let's find out. Brett, can you read me?
Yeah, I got you, Mason, loud and clear.
Brett, man, you know, I almost want to say I didn't mean to jinx you before the race here, but I feel like I did.
Yeah, Mason, started off a bad night, got disqualified in qualifying for spinning out, and was an uphill battle from there.
Well, even despite all that, you're able to work your way up here into second place, and, you know, really it was a very interesting race at the start because given all the qualifying, given all the practice and warm-up that we saw, it almost seemed like that we were going to see at least more than one caution, which I think if we did see more than one caution, it might have even helped you out even further to be able to push yourself up this grid. But I mean, like I said, you were able to push yourself up here into second place, but Jackson Lewis, I mean, that 7 machine just, he had something dialed in here tonight, and really he gave a lot of the field something to run for. And what was kind of your thoughts on that, and what were you kind of thinking once you start to put yourself into that second place spot and started to try and track down Jackson Lewis?
Yeah, I tell you what, Jackson Lewis is always a wheel, man. Action Jackson Lewis. He's got it going on. And I knew when he got to like second place on lap 1, I was like, all right, I got to get as many places as I can. I got like 2 cars on lap 1 as well. And I'm like, oh man, as soon as he gets around Andrew, it's going to be game over. I'm like, hopefully he gets held up by Andrew a little bit. And when he got around him in that first run, I'm like, oh man, it's all over. And I was hoping for another yellow, Mason, and it never came because I think I got about half a second behind him. Then my car started getting tight. I started heating up the right front, I felt like, so I started backing on off and said, I'm going to go try and save a little bit of right front over Jackson and hope for a yellow, and we never got one. Stayed about a second behind him, just trying to keep that pace just in case if he made a big mistake. But he's consistent, he's tough to beat, and didn't get that yellow. I was amazed. Heck of a run by everyone to only have, what do we have, 1 yellow in the feature, 2 yellows? That was a heck of a race. I'm over here sweating.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that seemed like a heck of a race to be in. And for yourself, I mean, to start at the tail end of the field and work your way all the way up here to second with only that 1 caution in the feature. I mean, Brett, there's not a lot of people that could do that. And frankly, I don't think there's very many drivers in this league that would be able to pull off what you did here tonight. But one thing I want to ask you here before we take off here tonight. So Jackson Lewis coming home with a win here tonight. He might, if I'm understanding things correctly, he might be in the lead for the championship. But heading into next week at Bristol, how are you feeling about that? How are you feeling about the championship? And do you think you'll be able to come across the line with the win, or possibly be able to put yourself back up into the lead here for the championship?
Yeah, Mason, he'll definitely take a bigger points lead. I think he had 1 point over me coming into tonight, and with this feature win, I think he gets 5 points. So, you know, that'll jump him ahead quite a bit in the championship, in the playoffs. So, definitely looking at Bristol as a need to win. Hopefully I can qualify and get a little bit started better spot, and hopefully it's Jackson that needs to run me down, and hopefully we get another green flag run. I know Bristol's pretty tough to pass at once we get a lot of tire wear in it, so it'll be hopefully similar to tonight, Mason, and hopefully a little role reversal, and the 71 machine can finish that 1 spot better, because I plan to put some practice in to give Jackson a run for his money and the rest of these guys, because I tell you what, it wasn't easy getting through this field.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be anticipating it here in the booth to watch the Jet make its debut. Well, not its debut, but make its way onto Bristol for the race next week, and hopefully come across the line and take home first place next week. And instead of yourself being second in the line for the interviews, you will be the last in line for interviews.
Yep, that's the goal, Mason. Mainly just being able to talk to you. Always a great time having me in the booth. And yeah, I think Bristol, I think I might slap out a different paint scheme tonight, so everyone keep an eye out for the 71 machine. Might look a little bit different for Bristol.
Absolutely. Well, Brett, before you head out here tonight and crack one open and celebrate your podium here tonight, is there anyone at home in the pit crew or watching the broadcast that you want to shout out and give your thanks to before you go?
Yeah, first and foremost, we got a brand new chassis under the car tonight, sponsored by Tim Rogers and RogersCars.com. Came back from the grave for tonight, and I've been pretty impressed. He's up there crew chiefing for me tonight, so got to give a big shout out to Tim Rogers. Of course, got to give a shout out to all the Brett Jeff fans out there, the family tuning on in, everyone from Facebook, all my work friends and all that. What's up, guys? Sorry, only second place, but we'll bring it home one position better hopefully next week. Of course, on the car we got thank QuickTime Motorsports Media, Dirt the Racing Network, of course, you Mason in the booth with Team Goon Squad. Always love watching these broadcasts. Can't wait to rewatch it back tomorrow while I'm at work. RH2 Racing, got to thank the teammates Dave and Nick. They put on a heck of a show. They make me as fast as I am. Of course, the admins here at ASRC to make this thing a smooth running league as we have it, and all the fellow competitors. And gotta give my hats off to Jackson tonight. He was in a different zip code with me, I felt like.
Absolutely. It was a phenomenal race to watch here tonight, Brett. But that is going to that's going to be all here for you tonight, and hopefully you'll be able to get those practice laps in that you need and be able to take it across the line next week for that podium.
Yep, that's the plan, Mason. Everyone have a good rest of your night, and I got shout out to my grandma Grammy as well.
Absolutely. Well, Brett, thank you for joining me here in the booth, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yep, talk to you again, Mason. Have a good one.
You as well. Alrighty, folks, that is Brett Hahn, the 71 machine, out of the booth here tonight. But last and certainly not least, Jackson Lewis taking it across the line for first place here tonight. Jackson, looking like you are going to be the leader here in the championship. How are you feeling right now?
Pretty good. Really happy with today. Brett scared the crap out of me. He was about 8/10 back middle of that run there, and then all of a sudden he was at 4/10, and it scared me because it's Brett.
Yeah, you know, anytime that I think you see that 71 machine just start to creep up behind you, I think I don't think it matters what driver you are in this league. You start to tense up a little bit behind the wheel there. I was mentioning in the broadcast, you know, Brett Hahn, a two-time championship winner here as far as the Team Goon Squad channel is concerned, as far as we've been covering the series. You know, we've seen Brett Hahn come up from the back of the field like we did here tonight and just come away with a win time after time again. And frankly, you know, I was talking with Brett here before we talked to you here, and you know, he even said it himself. If he had just one more caution, he might have been able to catch up to you and make that pass. But everything stayed green, Jackson, and everything was looking phenomenal. Excuse me, for that number 7 machine here tonight. But what do you think ultimately led to your success here tonight, and do you think that will carry over going into next week at Bristol?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was just starting position, being able to get up front and kind of control the pace that I wanted to run. Angie really took off there and set a pretty fast pace that I wasn't too comfortable with running, but once I got in front of him, he seemed to slow down a little bit and save his own stuff. But no, yeah, just getting out in front and pacing myself and saving the tires that I needed to save.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, tires definitely seem to be crucial here. I mean, obviously we don't have any pit stops in this series here unless we have a caution lap that just happens to conveniently be timed about midway through the race, as drivers are allocated a additional set of tires for this race. But it's very, very rare that we see that happen here. But we obviously did not see that happen here tonight. Only one caution that came out. And Jackson, I mean, frankly, there's not a whole lot that I can ask you here. I mean, well, I guess there is one other thing I can ask you here, is that you were extremely fast out on track, and I think, if looking at my timing and scoring, if I'm correct here, you actually set the fastest lap for the race with a 17.9. Now, kind of walk me through your line here. Walk me through what a lap for the number 7 looked like tonight.
Yeah, all the guys were telling me that it's goofy, and I know it's goofy. No one else really runs it. It's kind of weird. Even in the official stuff, I run this weird line that I've got, but it's just, I mean, just a lot of diamonding. Drive it in, let it float, and let it cut it on its own, and then drive it straight up off. It seemed like a lot of the guys were hooking the yellow line, and especially with Andrew, I watched him, and it just seemed to kind of push the right front, coming up off the corner, trying to keep it down, and I figured that's what would help me out the most, is just getting the drive off and keeping the right front on the car.
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely seemed to work in your favor. And, you know, Brett Hahn, it definitely seemed towards the end he started to kind of lock in on what you were doing there, or at least try and figure out something to pull in there. But, again, it just wasn't enough time to be able to make it work, and you were able to come across the line for first place. And as far as I know, you're going to be coming home with the championship lead here tonight. And with that in mind, before we let you go here tonight, Jackson, is there anyone at home, anyone in the broadcast, or in the watching the broadcast, excuse me, or in the pit crew that you would like to shout out or thank before we head out here tonight?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Tanner. He does a great job with this stuff. I wish a lot more guys would show up. This is an awesome league. Deserves a lot more drivers than it's been getting recently. I know it's kind of been a lower car count than normal, but hey, that's all right. We got a good quality group that races real hard and real clean. I'd like to thank you, Mason, for this broadcast. You do a great job every week as well. And I also like to thank the guys at RKM, Speed, you know, all those guys at www.rkm Setup Shop. We do a great job with all that. Ryan's been really teaching me on how to drive these cars, and I think it's been helping me out a lot. I've improved as a driver myself, even before, and you know, if anybody wants to come in and talk to us in the Discord and even improve themselves as a driver and get some open setups and try it out yourself, more than welcome to message me on Facebook or anything like that, and I'll kind of walk you through the process of it, and then, you know, hop in a race, and we'll even help you figure out if you're running the wrong line or anything like that.
There it is from Jackson Lewis, folks. You can find him on Facebook, or find the American Sim Racing Club on Facebook as well, and get yourself into the league and see if this is where you want to be. But Jackson, I thank you for coming up here and joining me in the booth tonight, and hopefully get to see you on track next week at Bristol and see some similar success in that number 7 machine.
Yeah, I hope to keep talking to you this season. It's real nice.
Absolutely. Well, with that in mind, good luck, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that is Jackson Lewis in the number 7 machine, taking it home across the line in first place here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway for round number 4 of the Super Late Model Touring Series here with American Sim Racing Club. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. 1080p, 60 frames a second. I hope everyone has enjoyed the action that they have seen here tonight. If you have, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 days a week. And I look forward to seeing you all next week at Bristol. Same time, same place. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all again next week.